what we've learned from the Iranians, and they said that because Donald Trump said today that we are getting to some sort of agreement. JD Vance going to be in Europe, somewhere in Europe. They're going to sign it. They're going to make the announcement next week. This is the story on the part of Donald Trump. What I have learned from the Iranians, it seems that 2 weeks ago, they have prepared, by these messages that they're sending back and forth, they have prepared the text. They send it to the United States through Pakistani government. And the United States somehow they agreed on. Then they said, no, we have to add some more points, some more part, because they wanted to add something to the text. They wanted to change. They want to put their own sort of understanding to the text. So they add some points to the text. Then Iran said, we're not going to agree on those points.
Right.
We just agree on the original text. Then the attack in Lebanon has started, Israeli attack on Lebanon. Iranian response, then the attack on Iran last night by Americans, while the Qatari delegation was in Iran, because the Qatari delegation went to Iran to say that the United States agreed on that original text. So they gave up on those points that they wanted to add to the text.
Right.
Then the attack happened last night while the Qatari delegation was in Iran. They didn't leave Iran last night till this morning. So they were there while the United States was attacking Iran, and Iran was responding. And today morning they left Iran. And here is the situation. Let us know, what do we know about the United States, and what would be the situation tonight?
Well, we will see additional attacks by the United States tonight, and probably continuing for the next several days. They're not going to be intense. These will be, I don't know if they're symbolic, but they're still trying to identify and attack targets there on the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think they're not going to go in depth to Tehran and try to bomb strategic targets. In fact, I think I was told, stand by here, let me just double check, that I'm told they're looking at like a 3 to 4 day mini campaign that Trump has authorized. It will consist of limited surgical strikes focused almost exclusively on the Strait of Hormuz, going after what they call the coastal defense cruise missile sites, which are buried into caves, and ground missiles and radars, jammers, launch vehicles, etc. But I've heard that the dual-use military civilian targets are strictly off limits, which means no bridges, no energy. So, meanwhile, and I did an interview earlier this afternoon with Garland Nixon. You ought to go watch the opening, because I wore a neck brace for it, and because I said, man, I've got whiplash on my neck from Trump does this and then Trump does that, and he does, he's going back and forth. 1 minute he says, quote, but not my words, his words, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Iran. To,
yeah, he said,
hey, we got a deal. We're going to be signing any day soon. Now this is number 39. When I watched Tucker's interview with John Mearsheimer and Tucker's speech beforehand, it was at 37. Now we're up to 39 times where Trump is probably, hey, it's imminent. We're going to sign tomorrow, sign soon. We'll see. I think, there's still a lot of obstacles. But what is clear is that Iran has significantly upgraded its air defense systems, and that it inflicted significant damage significant damage on the U.S. at Mawafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. One Russian and an Iranian source, separate sources both report that at least 12 F-35s were destroyed and or damaged. which would be significant. So, so there's Trump's erratic behavior, I'm sure, is not lending confidence to the Iranian side, because they're looking at him trying to figure out what. I know many Americans who are very knowledgeable are quite confused, trying to figure out what Trump's doing. So I can only imagine what foreign leaders are saying. There's like, will the real Donald Trump please stand up? You know, they ought to start playing the Eminem rap song "Slim Shady," because Trump is certainly Slim Shady here. We don't know who he is. He keeps going back and forth.
Yeah. Looking at the targets last night, Larry, they tried to hit the petrochemical plant in Asaluye, which it seems that they tried 2 times by cruise missiles, which were intercepted. No damage was reported in Iran. No damage in that petrochemical plant, which is so important. And I would say in these 2-3 days that you mentioned, they're gonna attack again and again, as in Wall Street Journal reported that they're gonna continue with these attacks.
Right.
And what is the objective of those attacks? If what was reported from Iran is right, and what is the objective of that? I don't know. Maybe he's. What is your understanding of that?
Yeah, look, I think what it is Trump thinks that these attacks can put pressure on Iran to make concessions, because that's all Donald Trump knows right now in terms of his negotiating, if you want to call it a negotiating strategy, fear and intimidation. But I don't see Iran being fearful nor intimidated. If I think without Israel in the mix, without Israel bombing Lebanon and continuing to attack the Palestinians, they would be able to reach a deal. But I think Iran must contend with the fact that Israel ultimately may or may not hold the veto power. And I'll say, let me explain why I say may not. If Trump comes to the conclusion that this is the only way out, that he's going to have to make these concessions and he's going to have to compel Israel to stop the attacks, then I think he will do it. But, I'd say that's 50-50, really, because the social influencers that Israel's paying, they've been attacking Trump relentlessly. And the Zionists in America, they're going crazy, and people like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, losing their minds over this. But I believe. Well, and the other interesting twist of this is, Pepe and I are being told that the Pakistanis are playing a leading role in this. But what we saw last night, and apparently what the key mediators now appear to be the Qataris. And as you noted, the Qatar delegation was in Tehran yesterday. Now, and I guess they left early this morning. The day before that, the Emiratis delegation traveled to Tehran. So I see Iran looks to be working all of the key diplomatic angles with the Emiratis, Qataris, and I'm sure they're in regular communication with the Saudis. And you come back to, what are Iran's 5 key demands? The first one is lift the sanctions, return the frozen assets. Number 2, accept Iran control over the Strait of Hormuz, lift the blockade, and last, and the most difficult one to implement, force Israel to retreat from Lebanon, to impose a legitimate ceasefire that they're not going to break, and stop the violence against the Palestinians. That that could be the whole stumbling block. Now, that doesn't even get into the nuclear stuff, which, right now, the decision on whether to proceed or not proceed is in the hands of Mustafa Khamenei. He's the ultimate one that gets to make the decision here. And, I could, if I was sitting there talking to him, I'd say, look, the United States has yet to demonstrate that they can commit to any kind of agreement. And so I think what Iran's opening negotiating position should have been that if we're going to have any further talks, if you're serious about talks, we need you to immediately lift all oil sanctions. Lift those. That'll tell us you're serious. If you don't lift those, then we know you're not serious, and we'll continue. You continue trying to destroy us, and we will continue and we'll destroy Israel and your military presence in the Gulf. I don't know if he'll do that. So, because he's also weighing, I'm sure he's weighing in his mind the prospect of more violence visited upon the Iranian people. And they have seen very clearly that the United States has no objection at all to killing civilians. So, but this, you saw we went from this morning, Washington, D.C. time. So, say 9 a.m., 10 a.m. my time, or actually about 9 a.m. my time, Trump has said, we're going to hit them harder today. We're going to destroy them.
The Clark Island. He said we're going to.
We may put troops on Clark Island. And then 5 hours later, he goes, okay, yeah, we're not going to bomb. And in fact, we're ready to sign an agreement, almost ready. But I'm telling you right now that there will be attacks tonight. In fact, I think there are already reports of attacks. Some minor, air defenses engaged. So, this isn't over by any stretch.
No, it's not over. And what Donald Trump said, the attack last night, Larry, was interesting. Iranian response. They're not attacking UAE, not Saudi Arabia, nor Qatar. It seems that something in terms of the negotiation, as you mentioned, we had the Qatari delegation, we had a delegation from the UAE going to Iran. I don't know what is the nature. At least we know what is the meaning of the Qatari delegation. What was the mission of the Qatari delegation? Because the source in Tehran said that they were, talking about the differences they had between the differences that Iran had with the United States with that text. But when you look at the situation in the Persian Gulf, Donald Trump he said today that the strait is open. He said many strange things. The strait is open. We have, taken out, 100 million barrels of oil. We stole it from Iran. The meaning of that was that we stole it from Iran. They don't know that we did that to them.
You do realize how silly that was, because, 100 million barrels of oil represents 5 days of normal flow out of the Persian Gulf. So go back to like February 26th, February 25th, before the start of the war. Every day, 20 million barrels were coming out. So that's only 5 days worth of oil, number one. Number two, it would require that much oil would require probably between 70 and let's say 110 oil tankers, depending on the size of the oil tankers. And within, put it in terms of U.S. use, that's how much barrels of oil the United States uses every day. So, 20 million total is 5 days worth, or 20 million per day is 5 days worth. So that really, that's an inconsequential amount. It doesn't It doesn't kill Iran from a financial standpoint, assuming that all of those barrels of oil were Iranian. There is no evidence that the United States captured 60 to 110 ships, tankers. So, I don't know what he was doing, but think through the logic of this. So he's telling you it's a covert program, correct?
Yeah.
That it's secret. And he's telling you that it's successful. Why would he then go public, blowing, essentially, exposing this successful secret program or top secret program? So now it won't be successful. What sort of logic is that? I don't get that. So this is this has more twists and turns than a soap opera. In Spanish they call them telenovelas. What do they have? Do they have that kind of drama on Iranian television?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they call it. Yeah, it basically means soap opera, and the same that you use.
What is it in
Brazil,
Farsi?
we call it novella. In Brazil, we call it novella.
Right, in Brazil you call it novella. What do they call it in Iran?
They call it serial ishqi, something like that.
Yeah. So that's what we're watching right now, man. This is like a telenovela on steroids, complete with explosions and other things. So the United States will continue to launch, let's call them pinprick attacks, which means Iran will respond with pinprick attacks.
Yeah. Larry, the point of invading Iran in the Khark Islands for many, weeks they were talking about this, and
Right.
And here today, even the Republican Senator John Kennedy was asking, "What do you feel about it?" And he said he's so concerned because this little by little, if you put troops on the ground, it's going to turn into Vietnam. It's not going to be easy. It's a huge commitment on the part of the Trump administration if they go that far. It's not going to be easy because when you start it, you cannot back down. You have to do something. And doing something means casualties, people being killed. And there is no way to, by the way, in the Khark Island, it's going to be a trap, simply a trap. It means that you want to kill your forces. You put them there to be killed.
Yeah, apparently the Iranian forces have already placed mines and anti-personnel mines all on the open areas. And anybody that's seen a map or seen a photo of it, I saw a great photo earlier today. It's tiny. It's not big at all. And how many troops are you going to land to quote take control of it? And once they're there, they're going to be targeted, and they don't have any good cover, any place where they can hide and be protected against drone attacks and short-range ballistic missiles and maybe intermediate-range ballistic missiles. So it's just, and we're not even talking about how do you get them on the island without getting them killed. And once you get them there, how do you keep them resupplied? Because it's very hot now, and they're going to need lots of water just to stay hydrated. And so you start adding up the as I've said before, ground invasion, never going to do it.